Hello, everyone. Welcome to Shaper Sessions. My name is Jake,
And I'm Russ.
and we have a very cool show for you today.
So, it's the summer promo, and we wanted to do a topic that was a little more introductory, kind of the basics, but also for everyone who's been watching sessions for a long time. We didn't want to keep it boring, so we thought we'd do something a little flashy.
Yeah, of course. Introduce a new technique. New technique to us, that's for sure. Not
Yeah.
a new technique in the world, but a really cool technique.
It's called brass wire inlay. So, I just want to show this off. This is really cool. People do this decoratively for fine woodwork. They do this decoratively for like objects. We saw this on the stock of a rifle. We took some inspiration from that. And the basics of this is that we are going to single line engrave a 1mm channel. We have 1mm square brass wire. And then at the end of the show, we're going to lay that wire in the channel, glue it all in place, and you'll have a brass wire inlay.
There it is. Yeah,
So,
and an awesome design.
and an awesome design. So two things, right, that we're talking about today. It's the promo, hence kind of introductory topic. Also, this beautiful shape was not designed digitally. This was hand drawn, which leads into the second thing that we're going to talk about today. A great new product that we just kind of previewed, announced. We're launching in a month or so, but we're getting ahead on it. It's called Shaper Trace.
There it is.
What is Shaper Trace?
Shaper Trace it's magic. It is the way to get a hand drawing to a vector in seconds. So everything that you're going to see today was hand drawn and converted by Shaper Trace.
Yeah, one of the big hurdles that we see people have with Origin is how do I even create these digital files? I'm really comfortable with drawing, with working with my hands. I'm not so comfortable with a computer. That's what Shaper Trace is for. So
Yeah.
we've got some initials, JS for Jake,
That's me.
secret last name. And we're going to, we've traced them already. We've loaded it into Origin. We're going to go through the engraving process and then that brass wire inlay process.
Yeah. Quick rules.
Yeah, couple announcements at the top of the show. As always, we do a live Q&A at the end of every live show. If you're watching this on demand, join us live next time where we'll do that Q&A. But everybody watching right now is watching live, so hang on till the end for that Q&A. We also at the end do a giveaway, and we're going to bring up a poll question mid-show, which is going to be the way that you enter that giveaway today. We're going to give away two things that we haven't decided on yet.
It's going to be spur of the moment.
Let's give away a swag pack and a shirt.
Swag pack and an 1/8" collet.
A swag pack and an 1/8" collet.
Because
we're doing tiny work.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay. Swag pack and an 1/8" collet. You're going to answer that poll question halfway through the show. And of course, we have this chat going on the side of the screen or on the bottom of the screen. We're not looking at the screen. I don't know where it is. But make sure that you participate in that chat. We'd love to hear from you. We both go back and read all of the comments at the end of the show. And our homie Ted is in the chat answering your questions live. Any questions that are super complicated, those are the ones that he's going to send to us, and we'll answer live.
That's it.
Cool.
All
Let's
right.
get to work.
Should we just get cutting?
What are we talking about here? I want to look over at my notes. We can't forget the quick Origin explainer.
Well, of course. Folks,
Because this is the summer promo, and we probably have a lot of new folks watching, so we want to just cover the basics real quick.
yeah, if you happen to be in the audience and are not an Origin owner or know somebody that's not, now is a great time to join the community and have access to this incredible tool. Origin is the first of its kind. It's a handheld CNC router that brings digital precision to our lovely craft of woodworking and all kinds of things, really.
Plastic working, soft metal working.
Whatever kind of working. And it is as intuitive as a plunge router. Even more intuitive, actually, than a plunge router, I'll say that.
I haven't touched the plunge router since I started working here.
Yeah, exactly. With a screen interface. And the whole idea is you can design things on the fly using on-tool CAD, so custom circles, rectangles, any kind of shape quickly on the tool, or use more other design programs to create more complicated shapes and import them onto the tool.
And now Shaper Trace coming
And
soon.
now Shaper Trace.
Great. Shaper Origin in a nutshell. Handheld CNC machine. A few ways to make the files. Next note, show the drawing. So what are we even cutting today? We want to get ahead on that. Let's show people what we're making.
So it's funny. Everybody wants a way to like digitize their signature. It's just so we're going to show that today. And we're going to turn it into a brass wire inlay. If you hit that overhead for me, I can scoot this over. There you go. Wow. My signature, or a version of my signature, I should say. It's always different. And we're doing one consistent line for each letter so that we can inlay this brass wire. Simply throw the trace flame over the top of that and shoot the image.
Yeah, break out your smartphone, take the image. The Trace app then converts that image into a vector, which is the type of file that we use for Shaper Origin.
Yep.
Now, the neat thing about Trace, which really no other vectorizing tool will do, the neat thing about Trace is you can choose between the outline or the center line. So today we're actually going to be working just on the center line of Jake's signature, and it's kind of a difficult thing to do with any other tool. It's one of my favorite features of Trace.
And just a quick description of what that means. The outline, every pen mark is going to have some thickness to it. So an outline is a line on either side of your pen mark. We are taking that and dividing it right down the middle to give you a true single line, which, like you said, is not really out there on the market.
And we want that single center line so that we can come in with our 1mm router bit and cut that 1mm channel for our 1mm square brass wire.
And everything's just gonna work perfectly, right?
Probably. I mean, we did this box, so that's as much practice as we have.
Yeah.
It's always kind of flying by the seat of our pants a little bit on this show because we are doing it live, but I think it's going to turn out really well.
Yeah.
All right, let's show folks the Origin screen, how that design shows up on Origin, and then how we get from design to cut.
Okay, let's go ahead and start from the top. I'm going to do a nice clean scan, overlapping each of these scan passes. You can see these dominoes turning blue. That means Origin sees the dominoes and it says, okay, I know exactly where I am in relationship to those dominoes. Finish that scan and it pieces all those together and gives me what we call a workspace. Now what we're looking at here is directly underneath my tool. That's a piece of sapele that's going to act as my second lid for this box that we're making. I can go ahead and hit import, grab my file, and there it is. It's still connected to my tool, so I'm going to come up here and do what we call a visual placement. Right there. Tap that green button. Now that is locked. I can turn the tool off, I can come back the next day, turn it back on, and that thing is still there as long as my tape has not moved. So the ability to pause and continue your work is really crucial here. Let's hop into cut. I have all my cut diameters, my actual bit size, which is 1 millimeter.
1 millimeter.
Offset does not matter. Our cutting depth is...
Let's do 0.9 millimeters, so we have just a little bit left to get some hammer contact on that.
0.9 millimeters, which automatically converts to inches if you so desire. And everything is an online cut.
Great.
I'm going to Z-touch for good measure.
Now, let's talk about this real quick, because in our last system update, or second to last system update, I guess, when we did the big general release, we implemented manual compared to automatic Z-touching. So this is going to give you the option to manual Z-touch. Since this is a tiny router bit, it's going to highlight that manual Z-touch first, actually, preferentially. I think anything under a 1/16 of an inch suggests a manual Z-touch for. I love that you're going through the manual Z-touch process. I was going to say I even use an automatic Z-touch, even for this 1 millimeter router bit.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's strong enough. The danger is if your wood is too soft, a 1 millimeter router bit might indent your wood. So what I'm doing is manually bringing it down to just above the surface, so I know what that is.
That's the Jake method. The Russ method is I use the automatic Z-touch, and I make sure to Z-touch on the aluminum of the workstation, actually, so that you're not plunging into anything soft. So 2 different ways to get the same thing.
I don't know if you have one of those bits handy. I just want to show how small this is. Typically,
absolutely.
And again, for those of you that are new here, typically we're running something like a 1/4 inch router bit. This is one of the standard bits that comes with the tool. Everywhere up to like an 8mm router bit or a 16mm. This is what we're working with today. You
So
can
1mm router bit.
barely see it.
And there's something interesting about this router bit. I don't think we've ever done this on the show before, but we're using the 3mm collet because this is a small metric router bit. This has a 3mm shank, not an 1/8" shank like a lot of the smaller router bits that we use. So we're actually using the 3mm collet from our 5 collet pack.
That's it. I like it. All right, I'm going to get started.
Let's talk about speeds.
Ah, speeds, of
Because
course.
right before the show, you said, holy moly, that auto speed is too fast.
Yes, it was. Somebody was doing some engraving and had my auto speed bumped up to like 35 or something.
Yeah.
Something very high.
You know what I was doing? I was doing a
What were
bunch of helixed holes over
Oh,
here.
well, there you go.
Yep.
As long as you can hang on, you're good to go. Auto is the speed at which the spindle travels when you're holding the auto button. I'm not doing a whole lot of auto maybe I will. I don't know. But I bumped that down to the default. My spindle speed is going to be 5.
Sure.
You know, it doesn't necessarily... I'm going to be moving fast enough to where it doesn't matter. And because this is an online cut, I have to start and end at the beginning or end of the line.
Great. Okay, now I think that's everything.
Okay.
Let's get to it. Without further ado, I'm going to step off to the side so that the router doesn't blow up my mic and keep blabbing while Jake cuts this line. And let's make sure to mute Jake's mic, Ned, if we haven't. Yep, there we go. Cool. So this is probably going to be pretty quick, actually. Jake's moving nice and slow, but this is a short cut, so I'll get right to the point. What you see happening here, for anyone who's new to Shaper Origin, is the crazy cool auto correction that Origin does as you use it. So Jake is following this line, and as long as he stays within that solid circle, he's within the compensation range of Origin. And so as long as he's moving in that circle, Origin is going to automatically move the spindle right to the center of the dotted line that he's trying to follow, or in the case of an inside or an outside cut, right up to the edge of the template that he's trying to follow. And it keeps you exactly precise, even as you're moving this router through 3D space. That was it. That was quick.
Super fast.
But let's look at those results.
Hopefully that camera can pick it up. Ned, if you wouldn't hop over. There we go.
We could peel that up too, I think. I'm pretty confident that that's good.
I overdid it with the double-sided tape. Didn't know if we were going to hammer on here or not. Beautiful.
And let's compare that also to the sketch that you made. I love doing this side by side now that we're doing a lot of hand drawings.
You see both of those?
Ned says let's try the bench cam.
There we go.
Yeah, you're a little bit out of frame.
There it is.
There you go.
So, pen drawing, same exact scale. A part of Trace that we actually skipped over, and another like kind of huge deal as far as vectorizing things, Trace keeps scale.
Like perfectly.
Yeah.
Like
So-
awesomely.
It's not necessarily just for free hand-drawn elements. It's for physically tracing things like hardware,
Yep.
which we will show you some examples of in a bit. That is a really cool feature.
Yep. Keep
And-
scale and automatically like flattens and unkeys your image. So, you know, if you've taken a picture of something to try to get the outline of it, you have to be really careful to go like top down. That was the old way. With Trace, you can take your photo from any angle and it's going to automatically flatten all that and keep the scale. A lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
Makes it so easy.
It's very cool.
Cool. That is the conclusion of the routing portion of today's episode.
I know we're
So
moving
quick.
fast.
We're going to go into our mid-show announcements. We've got a lot of really cool ones. For starters, I know we didn't mention this beforehand, Ned, but let's pull up that poll question now-ish while we're talking about the summer promo, because we're just going to be chatting, and this is a good time to cover that screen. I know the poll question covers the screen for folks. Again, this is how you enter that giveaway. We're giving away a swag pack and an 1/8" collet today, so make sure you answer that question. The question today, because I forgot to update it from last show, is have you updated your Origin recently?
Still a valid question.
Which is still a valid question, because we just released a small software update. that, makes your cutting experience better in a couple of really small ways, but also, really importantly, makes an AutoPass free trial available to anyone. So if you have an Origin and you've been curious about trying AutoPass, make sure you download that latest software update. That'll make that available to you anytime you want to start it. It's a 2-week trial. You don't have to start it now. It's not 2 weeks from today. It's 2 weeks from whenever you start. So save it for a nice project or do it now. Great, but make sure you update that tool so you get that available. While that poll question's up, let's talk about the summer promo.
Summer promo, like I said, great time to jump on the train of Origin, whether it's the tool or the whole complete system. You're going to get all kinds of awesome freebies.
Let's rattle off the list. Okay, right. I'm reading it. We've got it all written down over here. We've got 2 router bits to start out with, 2 of our favorites. 1 1/4" by 3/4" ball nose router bit, which is good for all kinds of stuff. We use it for finishing like the inside of bowl type shapes.
Yeah, get a nice radius inside. Great for sign making.
And an 1/8" by 1/4" O flute router bit, which is really good for soft metals and plastics.
Yeah.
We use that a lot for brass. Okay, 2 router bits. 1 free Minisys customizable sustainer, which is that size right over there. This is really great for, you could put your router bits in here, your collets, your Origin tools, really cool customizable accessory case. This one has our plate stuff. This is what comes with plate, but you could organize it similarly with other stuff. Really fun. All right.
2-part training.
2-part training, and classically this was just a Jake thing, but for the future training sessions, it's going to be the Jake and Russ
twice as
tag
nice
team combo show. So, yeah, you get 2 more free training sessions with Jake and Russ. We're going to cover Origin like from the very beginning all the way up to everything that you need to know, because today we've kind of glossed over a lot of the basics. We're going to cover everything. Okay, there's more. Double-sided tape. 1 roll of double-sided tape. Free. This is all free. And 4 premium projects. I forget which ones, but they're really good ones.
Well, they are in kind of varying degrees of difficulty, from first project, which is the candle holder, to kind of step you up into becoming an experienced Origin user. And we made it that way on purpose. We want you to be able to have step-by-step instructions for great success. If we can't get you there in 2 days, these projects will.
The awesome thing about premium projects is that they literally walk you through step by step every single thing that you need to do to get a project done. They are foolproof, and even if you still have questions, we've got great threads on our community forum that help you out there.
We do.
Okay, and the system discount. So if you bundle with plate or workstation, you save $100. If you bundle Origin with plate and workstation, I think you save $150 additionally. So all those things add up to like $500+ $525, something like that. And I forgot to write down the dates of the summer promo, but
Ted,
we can Ted will write that in the chat, and I will find out while we're doing something else.
Great.
Okay, that's the summer promo. Next thing, obviously, Trace.
Yeah. So this is a new product, not yet on the market. You are getting a teaser here. That's part of the perk of coming here to sessions.
You get the previews.
You get the previews. But do we want to show the YouTube video?
Yeah, so I mean, like we said, Trace is sketch to vector in seconds. We got this cool YouTube video that we can pull up. We could pull down that poll question if it hasn't been pulled down already. And let's pull up that YouTube video. We'll show that. Or the teaser video, that is. It's like 50 seconds, a minute long. That's a cool kind of synopsis. And then we've got a ton of examples here. We're going to show a bunch of examples of what we've been using Trace for here in the shop.
Yeah.
Is that video coming up? It looks like just me and Jake. Yeah? Okay. No, we're just dancing. Okay, we got some small video troubles. If you want to see this, check out the Shaper Tools YouTube channel. That teaser video is on the Shaper Tools YouTube channel. It's really fun. You get a liting something special coming to sessions every time.
Yeah.
Little dance time. Let's show some real life projects that we've been working on. Okay.
I'll get over here.
All right, I've got all kinds of stuff. I'm just going to throw stuff at you, and you can show it off on the bench cam.
Solid brass. branding iron.
Solid brass branding iron for your signature. Bam. Okay.
Also solid brass inlay.
Hand-drawn brass infinity inlay.
That one was a really fun one. This is a great project for that free bit that comes during the promo.
All right, going to hand you all these.
You got a kid in your life? Make some beautiful hand-drawn wooden toys. You can even take your kid's drawing and trace it and turn it into a project.
All right, next. Got a tool that you don't want your friends to steal?
Yeah, you got pesky coworkers that like to take your stuff.
Laser engrave your signature on it. Property of JS, the sweet woodpecker's 90-degree square.
And this quick pause here. This was done on a laser cutter because we get an SVG out of the Trace app. It doesn't necessarily. It can be used on anything that accepts an SVG.
It can be used on all kinds of digital fabrication tools. So this next example is like a gasket. This is kind of more of an industrial example. Let's go back to that bench cam.
So you got this weird thing, and you need a gasket for it. Trace it.
Bam.
And boom, you got a cork gasket.
Laser cut gasket. This guy, shop storage.
This was a really fun one. So I had to impart everyone that this Starrett combo square is very important and very fragile. So it has its own French cleat that lives on the wall and a security fence. But we needed that outline to be able to make that tool.
Traced it.
Traced it.
All right, personalized cutting board.
This is a fun one. Again, another signature project, but like just really classes that really brings the room together.
All right, and the last one's a big one, so we'll just show this one on the on the front cam.
Tool storage.
Tool storage.
So this is just your high density foam, very similar or the same that comes in the sustainers. Put all your tools in a nice, safe drawer.
Wrenches are easy. You can find profiles for wrenches online, but where are you going to find a profile for your
Scorp?
For your Scorp. Where are you going to find a profile for your Scorp?
Or your draw knife. We should really make some foam for those.
There you go. Shop storage, everybody. Get on it. So that's some stuff that we've been having fun with.
That last one. I just want to show that last one, too.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is a cool one. This is like a custom backing plate.
Yeah, got a funky piece of antique hardware.
Your antique door hardware.
You want to make some molding for it?
So we traced this, we offsetted it on Origin, and there you go.
Boom. This is a really
Bob's
cool
your
one.
uncle.
Bob's your uncle. Bob's my dad.
Okay, let's pull that video back up. I heard that it's ready, so let's get that going.
Hey.
All right, nice. We're still dancing over here, in case anybody was wondering.
Let us know in the comment if you want that to be the intro music for sessions from now on.
Please. We're really grooving over here. So I love seeing the wide array of digital fabrication tools in that video. Trace is not just for Origin folks, although it's definitely awesome for Origin folks. It's for laser cutter folks. It's for other CNC users. It's for vinyl cutters. It's for embroiderers. I forgot this one. This is one that I love also. We did this one with a vinyl cutter and used it as a mask to etch this glass cup. Some fishes on there.
Who knew? I did not know that you could just etch glass with like a paste.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Throwback to Sam. Our buddy Sam tipped that off.
Yeah.
So thank you, Sam. Cool. All right. So I want to show you guys one more thing. How do you learn more about Trace? How do you get notified when it launches? Let's cut to the computer. So we are at shapertools.com/trace over here. Here we go. shapertools.com/trace. Big button, sign up for launch discount. Why do I want to be notified? Because we are going to be on Kickstarter and early backers get a discount. So to do that, you're just going to sign up here, Shaper first name, last name, and your email address. Bam, enter, and we'll let you know when Trace launches. That's part one. Part two of this is we are launching on Kickstarter. If that's new to you, coming soon on Kickstarter, 6.5 days, that's crazy. If that's new to you, we have some frequently asked questions down here at the bottom of the screen. One frequently asked question is, do I need an account on Kickstarter? The answer to that is yes. It's super easy to make. To make that account, I recommend you make that in advance. You go to kickstarter.com/signup, and you can find that link on our page, shapertools.com/trace. Okay.
Very cool.
There we go.
Nice.
Sweet. Okay. And last but not least, it would not be a session anymore without a shop tour. So we've got a sweet shop tour from Dennis at Pieceworks Fine Woodworking. So thanks, Dennis, for sending in this video. We're going to send you an 8mm by 35mm long reach router bit. We love these. We saw some of your work in the shop, and we thought it would be a pretty good fit, so we hope you get some good use out of it. And to have your shop featured on Shaper Sessions and to win something cool, send your shop tour to us, sessions@shapertools.com. That's our email address. 2 to 5 minutes, narrated. We love it, especially landscape, portrait, whatever. Landscape especially, we love it. But any shop tour is welcome.
Yes.
Great. Let's roll it.
Hey everyone, welcome to Pieceworks. My name is Dennis, and the shop is a 24-foot by 24-foot double car garage. And it pretty much looks like this when I'm out here working. Everything's mobile, and everything moves to the front of the garage if I need to store a vehicle. And to be honest with you, it only takes about 6 or 7 minutes to get it into this position. And just so you don't think I'm hosing you, here it is when things are tucked away. So at the back of the shop, against the garage door, is the dust collection. And then the planer sits between the garage doors. There's a drum sander and an oscillating belt sander. They, of course, store up front, but when I'm out here working, then I put them to the back at the garage door. And the drum sander and the planer, they'll both, when I'm using them, they'll sit next to that edge sander, and then I can hook them up to dust collection. There's lumber storage in the back corner here, and never enough storage, and never enough lumber. On the north wall, there's jigs. Can't say enough about that tapering jig. Drill bit cabinet, in-feed table. The drill press is a bench top with a mobile base. There's a library back in the corner. And legacy ornamental mill here. Don't use that so much anymore, but that's sure a fine tool. Air compressor on that cart. And then back at the back is the miter saw station. And of course every shop needs a TV. And the miter saw station sits up just a little bit higher because down below there's a board there that I use for breaking down plywood. And then tucked behind that is the jointer that I can pull out when I need it. And that cabinet houses all the shaper paraphernalia. I'll swing around a little bit, and the saw stop sits in the middle of the shop, in between the cars, and doesn't have to move. And that's a good thing. And the router table, if I'm going to use that, I rotate it 90 degrees, and then it can hook up to dust collection. And then when I'm using the shaper, it's parked here at this end of the bench. Just love that thing. And I'll walk through here. I know this looks like chaos, but believe me, it's organized chaos. I know where everything is. And thank you, Sam, Jake, and Noah. That was a fun one. And thank you, Lee Amick. That was a really fun build. And Noah, you did good there. I do a lot of epoxy work. Some of the other stuff I've used a shaper on is I love doing box joints with it. And that through mortise and tenon, oh man, doesn't get any better than that either. I routed those bowls using the shaper. Those pencil boxes, love doing those. That was a good one, Noah. The box that the coasters sit in, I did that on the shaper. Boy, that made that easy. And then I'm working on some charcuterie boards, and I'll be cutting the shapes out using the shaper. Love that tool. It's just changed my world. Bandsaw sits back in the corner. Every shop needs a fridge. And then got a big picture window so I can see out into the backyard. Gives a lot of natural light. I've built all the cabinets and benches myself over the years. It's 21 and counting now. And back in the back you can see those photos. I am a commercial photographer by trade, and I actually use the shop as a studio once in a while. So to me it's home. That red stool back in the back, that's yours if you're stopping by. Thanks for the look.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dennis.
So good.
We love it. We did a little switcheroo here. I'm going to be installing this. What do you say we get to it?
Go for it.
Cool. So let's talk about the tools that we're going to use here. We've got a couple that are kind of unique that we don't use typically in the show. All right. Sure. Yeah, let's go to the overhead, Ned. All right. Number one, we got this like metal working tack hammer. Yeah? Is that how
tack
you
hammer.
would
It's
call it?
actually
Tack hammer?
I got it for doing Danish cord
Danish
and bending
cord.
L nails.
Okay. Well,
But tack
anyway,
hammer, yeah.
Hammer with a nice, small, smooth head. Okay, love that. These are interesting. These are square end wire cutters, so they have kind of supports on either end. They help support the wire so it gets cut off nice and square at the end. Love these. We've got a file. If you've got to come in at an angle, use the file. You've got the square end cutters. The file can kind of shape the end of that brass wire. Of course, we have the brass wire itself. We've got this 1 millimeter square. I cut off 2 little sections there, and we have a big roll of it. We just got this stuff from Amazon. You can get this kind of anywhere. I think a lot of people use it for jewelry. And then we're going to glue this in place with Starbond super fast, thin, and the accelerator.
And it's cool. You don't have to glue as you go. You can glue it all at the end, and the super thin stuff just soaks in.
Just wicks in.
Wicks
yeah,
in
it's
underneath.
Incredible. I glued one the other day, and I was gluing like over here, and it wicked all the way through the grain down to the end over
was
here.
wild.
It was wild. But yeah, so our rule here on sessions is if you cut, you don't have to assemble or install. So I'm going to do the best I can with this one. First thing I'm going to do is just cut the end of this wire off nice and square.
Nice.
Love that. And let's get to work. So I start just by taking the hammer and kind of tapping.
Yeah, watch that noggin.
Yeah, I gotta watch the noggin. Tapping one end in as best I can.
And the hammer kind of mushrooms the brass out, which helps keep it in the hole, too.
Helps keep it in place, absolutely. And I'm gonna kind of like gently bend this as little as possible to get it to both sit flat and kind of follow these curves. And if my head is in the way, Ned, maybe we switch to the bench cam for this. Okay, gotcha. You can be ginger with it on one hand. You can also, you're not going to hurt the brass really, so you can also kind of whack on it pretty good. Because like Jake said, part of the point of this is that you get the brass wire kind of mushroomed into that 1 millimeter slot. You want to make sure that that's also as flat as it can be.
We have Goose, our coworker, did a project with this, kind of inspired this whole thing. He did a topographical map kind of sorts. Not three-dimensional, but the design looked very topographical in a piece of sapele. And we just thought that was too cool.
Okay, that's pretty good. Now this might look a little ugly. I'm going to say it might look a little ugly, but part of this process is we go back later and sand it all flat, and the sanding kind of fills it in, gives it a little bit of polish. As we're nearing the end here, I like to kind of approximate where the end of that cut is going to be. You can give it a nice like line of sight there. I've got to pull it out just a little bit more. There we go. Not super square.
That's why I grabbed you these. Just I know it kind of squishes the brass a little bit, but just in case you needed them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the hardest thing is trying to keep my head out of the way. I'm going to just pick this up for a second. And
again, thank you so much for sending us that that shop tour. That was really cool. And so much goes into a 2-car garage. It's truly amazing. What I want to know is, you said at the very end, going on 21, were you talking about years or 21 cabinets? So you're talking about building cabinets, because that shop looks like you've been there for a while and you've had a long time to fill it and decorate it. So good on you. Nice. Cool thing about this process as well is you can absolutely do a design that overlaps one another.
mm-hmm.
Couple different ways to do it. One is just snip the brass and start and stop over the line. Or you can inlay a section of your line, and as long as your piece hasn't moved relative to your tape, you can come back in with origin and slice through that little bit of brass to have a passway through it. So it's kind of cut as you go.
There we go. Getting it started, I think, is the hardest part.
Yeah?
I think it is. Because once it's started, you can kind of use the curve of the wire to get it to fit the rest of the slot. But getting that first little bit in.
21 years. Thanks for responding to that, Dennis.
What I love about these shop tours is we learn something new every time. So I want to go back and watch the modularity that you've built in there. Definitely being able to move all those tools and cabinets around is a huge benefit.
Absolutely. I have old habits from our last office. Everything was on wheels there. And even though we've come into a larger space, I still feel like, you never know if that sander needs to be there permanently. It's a heck of a lot easier to put it on a mobile base, just in case.
All right, we're coming right around the end, and what I like to do for this is, when it's kind of constrained, let the wire curve the way that it wants to. I'm sharing this as if I've done this my whole life. This is my lesson learned from doing this once, everybody. But let the wire kind of curve the way that it wants to, and it'll give you a nice organic curve. See how I let that curve on its own and it fits right in there. Okay, I'm going to try to cut this one off just a little bit earlier. Hope it works. A little too long. There we go. That's pretty good.
Nice. Sneak up on it.
Cut the S a little bit short, but that's show business.
We're doing it live.
Jake, could you grab me a pair of pliers real quick? Because this one wants to twist.
Yeah.
It's trying to twist into that curve. I want to make sure that it goes in flat there.
Can I give you a pair of flat face?
Yeah, those duckbills. Yeah, nice. Thank you. gonna take this and try to twist this a little bit this way. It's always nice to have small tools for really fine work like this. That's helping a lot.
Oddly enough, jewelry pliers are some of my favorite tools. Took one jewelry class when I was in school, and I just loved all the tools.
Okay, there we go. Not bad.
Gorgeous.
Cool. Let's, all right, next step. Let's hit this with some glue. We really just douse this thing.
It will sand away.
It'll sand away. Yeah, I promise.
It really doesn't feel like it's going
Just
to.
watch your fingers. All right, plenty on that one. Plenty on that one. Whoo! Just taking a couple months off my life here. You guys can't smell this at home. The thin stuff, I think, is extra strong.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's pretty good. We'll let that soak in for a second. And then, again, just because we've got anything but time today, trying to get to that Q&A and the giveaway, we'll hit this with a little bit of accelerator, and that's going to cure up nice and fast. The next thing that we would do is hit this with some sandpaper. Love a random orbital for this to kind of eliminate any of those like linear scuff marks. You could go for the brushed look, though. Here we go, upside down. Nice, thanks, Ned. You could go for the brushed look by kind of sanding linearly. You could go for the non-directional look by using a random orbit sander. And I would say you're going to start to see a sheen above 400 grit is like your minimum for brass.
Yeah.
The higher you can go, the better. The more polished it's going to be, but 400 is kind of your minimum.
Would you recommend going with like a straight sand, sanding with a grain at a certain point, or just sticking with the random orbital?
It's more about the look that you want for the brass, I would say. So you know that classic brushed look where the metal looks like it has a grain going one direction? Like stainless steel railings kind of have that. You get that definitely by going one direction. If you want that look, definitely do that. But if you want it to be more of a polish, then I would say it doesn't really matter much which direction you go. Yeah, cool. And the random orbit's just so much easier to use than caring about how straight your sanding is.
That's true.
Cool.
Right on. There's a new trick for you.
And you learned about Shaper Origin, and you learned about Shaper Trace. I told you all about the summer promo, and we got a great shop tour.
Yeah. Remember that summer promo. It's big. It's huge. Tell your friends.
Yep. Cool. For everyone who's watching live, we're going to roll into the Q&A. For everyone who's watching on demand, join us. We're actually not on every other week right now. We're actually showing next week. Next Thursday, we're doing a live demo of Trace, start to finish. We're going to have Adi in, who has joined us before for studio. He's also our product lead on Trace. He's going to tell us everything about Trace from the product angle. He's got some really deep, cool knowledge about that kind of stuff, and it'll be a really interesting and fun show.
Yeah.
So we'll see you then.
It's going to be cool.